What is up, guys? This is Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gershwan.
And we're back at it to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater
WAAAGH. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first. That is what Joseph did. He asks, when the Chaos Gods were teleporting off the Primarch babies, why not just drop them off on a sun or in a sun to die, or raise them on a demon world? Good question, and the answer is they wanted to use them. They knew the value of these near perfect beings, and they wanted to put them in a place where they could be corrupted by chaos, which is what happened to 9 of them.
Yeah, half of them, pretty much.
Or yeah, you could argue that it happened to 11 of them, and 2 of them just couldn't take it. They pussied out. But yeah, that's really the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, why? I mean, yes, I understand, like, oh, these are, like, super awesome tools for the Emperor. Let's just get rid of them. But they're like, oh, no, let's have a little fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like finding a wallet. You're not gonna... Or... Nah, that would be the same.
It's like every villain in anything. Oh, I can kill you right now, but I want to see you suffer. And that always leads to the good guys getting out.
Yeah. Next question comes from Reject X7. Since Games Workshop and Marvel Comics are now working together, are we going to see the Mickey Marines or the Snow White and the 7 Squats? I hope. That sounds cool. Sounds like an alternative like universe. I've seen the Disney princesses turned into like Primarchs.
Yep.
That looks badass.
Yeah. Thanks, fan artists.
Yeah.
Because of that, we now have a merger. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe, obviously, I could already see all the, like, memes coming out of it and everything. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be some really cool looking art. And plus, there has been already a Games Workshop Space Marine comic book series. I forget what it's called. But it wasn't very grimdark.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of like the Warhammer Adventures. So, it's been happening.
Not to that extent, but...
Right, they weren't kids.
Right.
But yeah.
Because I think, like, I went to my local comic book shop and they had like 2 or 3 of these Warhammer comics. I'm like, what? I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah. Next question comes from Dean McKenzie. What would happen if all the demon Primarchs came back? Would they join Abaddon or try to force him under heel? Or would the traitor legions all split to join their Gene Father? Also, do any Plague Marines fight for Abaddon? Yes. So let's just start from the bottom. But Abaddon actually has gotten Angron to work for him, has gotten Mortarion to work for him, and I think even Magnus the Red to work for him, or alongside him. He's very convincing, and ultimately he is used as much as he uses other people by the Chaos Gods. So yeah. And then if they all came back, I don't think they would unify.
Yeah, I feel like they all have too much of their own agendas to push to unify, unless it, like, you know, the means to an end was the same.
Yeah, right now I think the like if for every single traitor Primarch that comes out, they have an enemy that they're trying to get rid of, and that enemy is usually not the same, other than the Emperor. Next question.
This one's by Jamo Apostle. Can Gene Seed still be created from scratch, or can it only be taken from fallen Space Marines? If they can't, then why did their enemies not target those Gene Seed so that they can't create new Space Marines?
So they can't just create it from scratch anymore. The Adeptus Mechanicus, with the Primaris founding, they've been able to replenish those stores. But no, they can't just create it from scratch. They have to take it from dead Space Marines. And on top of that, that is a tactic that Chaos uses a lot.
Magnus himself actually attacked the gene factories of the Space Wolves and, like, ensured that, like, their gene factories were, like, destroyed.
Yeah, there's a couple of successor chapters which have been completely wiped out because Chaos has targeted the gene stores, and then they get like destroyed, and then they can't replenish their ranks, so they just slowly fade off and die. Next question comes from Christopher Shrimplin. Does Leman Russ feel bad for his actions against Magnus, seeing as it was a massive misunderstanding? Do you think Leman would apologize given the option? Does he blame himself for Magnus being forced to use the powers of chaos? No.
No. I feel like Russ is too much of a... Like, he's...
Hardhead?
He's too hard-headed to admit his wrongdoings. And I think he doesn't even see this as him being wrong. Because, like, at the end of the day, if he fought Magnus there... and if he didn't fought Magnus, like, at Tizca and whatnot, he probably would have fought him some other place.
Because they already had a rivalry beforehand with the Council of Nicaea. Leman Russ was one of the people that said, no, we shouldn't use Psychers ever. Like, he's one of the prime people to say it. And then Magnus was the prime person to say, yes, we should. So there's that rivalry there. Next question.
Dead Delete. Does a Space Marine dance? Only when he feels good.
Boom, 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 boom. Next question comes from USS Grey Ghost. Question 1. Do you think that Abrams' M1A2 tanks would be able to take out any of the tanks in Warhammer 40K? Because I heard that one tank only has about 125mm cannon, and the Abram has a 120mm cannon made to take out tanks and can fire on the move. No.
Yeah, I feel like even though they're tanks, especially for like the Imperial Guard, a lot of their vehicles look very similar to our current vehicles. Like, the technology has been improved so much more to where our weapons currently probably wouldn't make much of a dent to them.
Yep. And then he has a part 2 to his score. Well, another question. I have Asperger's syndrome, so this is more personal. Does the Warhammer 40K still have autism? Yes.
Yeah, there's still diseases and stuff like that all throughout the Imperium.
Yeah. It's gotten to the extent where there are abhumans. So it goes beyond that. It's kind of an interesting way for the designers or the writers of 40K to kind of play around with the human body to push them, because they are so separated. I push them in like different directions and different forms, like beastmen.
Right.
Those are pretty cool.
Ratlings.
They're called Xenagors, right? Or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he has a part 3. Why does one Warhammer 40K tank look like the French Charb B1 heavy tank from World War II? And then you show us an image.
Yeah, I mean, they, like I said earlier, a lot of their vehicles and stuff look so much like ours.
Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I guess. Just improve upon it, but they still kept the same, like, blueprints.
Mm-hmm. Non-lore reasons. GW did that to attract that audience of people who are into the historical warfare, but also want to put a nice little sci-fi twist to it.
Like the Bane Blade? That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, he talks about that one, yep. Next question.
This one is by Fetus Deletus. What would happen if the Emperor was to die, or on the other hand, awaken?
The Astronomicon will go out. People won't know. It's like if you were driving down the road and your GPS went out. But when that happened, instead of like having one road, the road split into like 4 dimensions, and then you were trying to not crash into oncoming traffic. So that's one thing that would happen. Demons would pour out of the webway that the Emperor was holding back. So Terra would be consumed by demonic incursion. The cults that have been plaguing Terra, holy Terra, would finally jump out and be like, "Got your ass." So yeah, a lot of bad things.
Too many. But I guess you could say, is it all worth it if the Emperor came back? If he awoken, and if he died, then yeah, we're just screwed.
And it depends on how badass the model would look, because Gilliman model is not cool.
When I first saw it, I think it was all hype, but looking back on it, yeah, I'd change it.
Next question comes from Alex K. Can Gene Seed be taken from a live Space Marine? Yeah, I guess.
Won't that kill him?
Yeah.
But wait for him to die first.
You should.
River Moon. Why is it that you can only buy Death Corps of Krieg minis on Forge World and not on GW?
I'm not too sure how Forge World and GW run their thing. They are two separate entities. I think they probably just... Forge World has the rights to GW or creating GW things. But every now and then you will see crossovers. So one model that was sold by GW now is being sold exclusively for Forge World, which is what happened to a lot of Imperial Guardman units. Like the Strain Firstborn, Death Corps of Krieg, stuff like that. But then it goes the opposite way. Like the Stampa was first in Forge World, and then it switched over to GW. And I think it all has to do with distribution, and it all has to do with like how much, like GW controls how much a store owner can have on his shelves to a certain extent. And I think that's what that is.
Yeah, like obviously I think the Stampa was selling really well, so it's like, oh, let's GW take it. Put it in the stores and stuff like that.
Yeah, because those are already built models, whereas Forge World might be a little different because it's like.
Because with Forge World, I've noticed you usually, like if you're buying a Dreadnought, you buy the body and then you buy the arm separate.
Yeah, so it might be one of those situations where they create it once you order it, or something like that. Whereas like GW does not have that. Jonathan Sneed. Which race has stable alliances, or which groups would form alliances if they met?
Easily anything Imperium. I guess they would have the most stable alliance, like the Inquisitors, the Space Marines, Custodes, Sisters of Battle, and Imperial Guard. They'll probably have the best stable relations. I think after that, maybe the Imperium and the Eldar, because the whole Gilliman thing.
Mm-hmm. And the Eldari too. So the Eldari have like, so Dark Eldar, Harlequins, and Eldar, Craftworld Eldar, all kind of same alliance.
Shaky, but they could make it work.
Yeah, and then like you said, Eldar and Imperium, also Tau and Eldar.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones that like are kind of shaky. There used to be a chart for this in what?
When
7th edition?
When you can ally.
Yeah. The shaky ones would be like the orcs with anybody.
So you could just use them as mercenaries, pretty much.
Yeah, and then the Necrons with anybody is kind of shaky too. The ones that like are for sure never, I think, were only the Tyranids.
Mm-hmm. Which sucks if you're a Tyranid player. It's like, I'm going to lose every tournament because I can't ally with the Tau and bring 3 Riptides.
But yeah. Those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. Yeah.
Sound Alchemist.
Curse 1.
We are out.